Hey, this is Robin the Generous Stitcher. Welcome. Thank you for subscribing and watching, or sharing and commenting. And so I've got several things I'm talking about in like shorter video segments. I went to a retreat 2 days ago. I have some whips, and I had some curated cross stitch collection, which will be the last part of the video. And so I'm going to do the whips first. Don't have any finishes, but I'm getting close, so I'm going to show that piece last. So I have been working really hard on that last piece I'm going to show, because it's a Christmas present and I want to get it done as close to the beginning of November as possible, because I have like some stuff to finish to get it to the point where it can be wrapped up and given as the present. So anyway, the first whip I'm going to show is, I only worked 1 day on this. This is the Snuggle is Real from Bothy Threads. And this was from Just Cross Stitch, December 2023. And a friend of mine was doing this. I liked it. She gave me a copy of her magazine to copy, and then I happened to see the magazine for sale at Acorns and Threads, even though it was a couple years old at that point, or a year old at that point. So anyway, this is, I started at the heel of the slipper, and I'm just kind of working across and up. And so I actually only stitched this gray, filling in some of this gray thread at the top. And when I got over to this purplish color, I was like, oh, wait a minute, there's supposed to be a gray square there. But then I was thinking, oh yeah, I think I knew I was miscounting when I finished that purple, and I thought, I'd deal with it later. And and then I set down the project and I didn't work on it for a while. So anyway, as I'm like going through whips and finishing things, I had finished a bib earlier this month, and I'm going to be giving that to the mom this weekend. And so it's kind of fun, because I'm like, okay, let's finish, get this off my whip list, get this off my whip list, and then I can do other things. And so one of the things I thought of working on, because I really want to start, I've got like 4 or 5 things I want to start. A lot of them are Christmas themed, and I was like, why don't I just work on a Christmas themed thing that's small, get it off the whip list, and give the pattern away maybe. So this is We Santa 2023. I got it in 2023. There's a better picture. And I took it with me to Pinwis 2023, and I had never been to a retreat before, and I started working on it, and I really messed up on it and had to frog a bunch of it, and I was like, then I just kind of put it away, and I didn't work on it again until I picked it up last week. And it's got a lot of specialty threads, and it's what is this stuff? Witchell Perman linen. It's very, very stiff. It's like really, really stiff. I'm like, you see, it's not even wanting to unfold. So my friend is like, oh yeah, well, I have the stiff linen, and you just got to work it with your hands, and it'll get like softer. But okay, this part is probably the part that I've worked most with my hands. It's not that soft yet. So that's actually the back. So this is, I started at the actually the right hand corner of this, which is not where I normally start stuff. So maybe that's another reason why I didn't enjoy it. And so I have worked on a couple of the flowers, and on Thursday night when I picked it up again, I filled in this green stem and leaves. And this Santa boot needs to be frogged. It's in the wrong spot, because I was excited to put the Santa boot and stockings in, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute, there's all these flowers that didn't have room. So, hey, sweetheart. She's like, can I get through here? Yes, you can. Oops, let me move the needle. Don't want you to step on that. Hi. Hey, Willow. She was kind of sad because I was very, very busy at work today, and I didn't. She likes to interrupt me about 3:30 or so, and get held. As long as I can kind of like do work with my mouse in one finger, I think I can do that sometimes. But today, no. I had deadlines and I had things I needed to get finished, and so that I could be prepared for tomorrow and not have such a hard day tomorrow. So anyway, we sent it 2023. You stick it, I don't even have a project bag for it. I just have a Ziploc, which is not good because sometimes the needles poke through the Ziploc and you can get tagged. So, all right. So I'm gonna be working more on that one. It's a small, I can get it off the WIP list. And then, let's see, this is the last WIP I'm gonna show is Lindy Stitches Airmail Japanese Bantam. I'm gonna do an unboxing, and she's like right here because she's like, this smells good. I wanna see. I wanna be there. So that's part of the reason she's. Oops, sorry. Didn't mean to scare you with the sound. So, all right. All right, so this is coming along. I have 26 rows left to finish. I think, yeah, Willow's gonna get her face in here. You can see her on the edge of the screen. So she is excited, and down here I kind of had a knot in one of the threads, so I kind of unpicked it there. I need to restitch that, but I'm getting to the point where it's like, okay, I've got 6 stitches between this bottom of the wing and the airmail stamp. Am I gonna make it? Is it gonna fit? Because I thought I messed up the tail at the top, and so I was really worried about having, not enough linen to fix it. And let me look at the bottom here. So I do have a 3-inch border. So if I had to mess with the border to give it some more room, I could, although I don't want to. That border is rather intricate, and it was the first time that I really was working variegated stitches and trying to make the variegation really show. And let's take that out of here. And so don't want to mess with that. Okay, so that's the whips. All right. So then we have, I have purchased, I can take them all out. What is that? Oh. I was like pulling things out of the printer, and I'm like, this is not mine. It's like my husband's to-do list. So let me move that somewhere. I mean, it was several days ago, so I don't think he needs to do that right now. So, but I think I showed you, okay. I've got other patterns in here besides, okay. So I believe I showed you, I bought the kit for the Christmas pair, or Christmas pairs, and then I have actually 3 different fabrics at home that could work for it. This is Curtain Call by Lap and Loops. It's 18 count Aida. I have an 18 count Ada that's a pistachio, that's a green color, that might also work. And then I have pomegranate, which is, oh, and the pistachio is Atomic Ranch. And then I have Fabrics by Stephanie, that's a 36 count linen, pomegranate, which is this variegated pink. So I'm gonna set that aside because I want to show also I had got the Specialty Stitches by Jeanette Douglas, and she hasn't sent the PDF yet. That's coming closer to the event, but this is like the email she sent talking about what the plan is. And Jeanette Douglas and the Christmas pairs I do want to stitch on, so that's why I'm trying to get things off my WIP list, because I've put some blank rows for Christmas pairs and for the Jingle Ball right here on my WIP list. So, and then I did get the PDF for Teresa Kogut's punch needle, and I found a place where I can buy punch needles and supplies, because Katie and Van from the 1120 Crafter Group, and Katie and Bill own Cynthia's of Bend, the sewing machine shop. They punch needle, and they have supplies at their sewing machine store. So, you know, I was kind of like, the one that I think I want, that I think is recommended in here, is she didn't have in the shop. She's got some, but they weren't at the shop, so I couldn't really purchase something. Maybe I'll talk to, she was talking to me about something else I wanted to purchase through her, so I expect her to call me. Katie, I expect Katie to call me so we can arrange this. And I did drive through the first snow on the pass, so I'm not anxious to drive to Bend from across the mountains. So anyway, so these are the things I'm doing. So I got in the mail today my Christmas pairs kit with a cute little bee sticker on it. And this is the box. It says fragile, and see if I can open it and it's wrapped in some nice Christmas tissue paper. And so there is a piece of Weeks, which is Aztec Red. I actually have some Aztec Red at home, and this is looking more of a scarlet red. In person, it's a little, it's much more, not as scarlet, much kind of more, not exactly orangey, but kind of like a stone or a brick. So I was actually thinking that I was going to stitch on my own fabrics and just set this aside for something else. And I do have Aztec Red in my stash, but it's already spoken for a Nashville piece that I bought a couple years ago. So I have a needle minder with a pear on it. That's nice. So it's right there. And we have some wool pieces, and this is, I think this is the stuff that you stitch around the edges to hold it together. And then we have Lady Dot Creates Cucumber, which I think this is the velveteen that goes, pull out the picture again. So this is what you make your stem and leaves out of, this piece of wool. And this, oh, this is the silk icing. That's for stitching. And you must be using the same to do the pear. And I don't have a sewing machine, so I might be hand stitching this, which would be okay. And so I have the pattern already because I downloaded this. And so this kit just includes the materials. Because if you got the PDF or the kit, you get the PDF. So, and this has all the instructions, and it also has leaf-shaped patterns, so you know how to, you can cut out your paper pattern and then use it on your wool to cut out the piece. So, so this, I was hoping to stitch at least one of them before Jingle Ball. So cool. I have never gotten a kit at Jingle Ball before, mainly because, well, you know, the first 2 Jingle Balls, I think it was 2 Jingle Balls, because this is the 4th one, or, yeah, I think this is the 4th one. I did not, I live on the West Coast, and when things start on the East, you know, Eastern Standard Time, I'm kind of like, you know, I'm not participating. You know, I'm working. It's, you know, I don't get off until 5 at the earliest, and so right now I gotta put this in the big pile of crap on the table across from me. So I've got all my Jingle Ball things together in a project bag, so I know where all the patterns are. So, but I might start stitching on those. I know I wanted to stitch some of the Jeanette Douglas stuff before I put her thing in there too. Oops. I wanted to get that stuff stitched before Jingle Ball. So, she doesn't have that much, and I think people actually stitch them during the class, but I'd get too distracted. So, anyway, that's what I'm prepared for Jingle Ball, and you know, I will talk to Katie at Cynthia's event and probably get some punch needle supplies. I will show later in this video, I bought a punch needle pattern at her shop. It's Halloween, but you know, anyway, so I'm ready for Jingle Ball, and the next portion of this will be talking about the 11/20 Crafter Retreat. See you later. Hi, sweetheart. You just came up here for some attention, huh? Needs that choco. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You are such a diffident, shy guy. Did you want some? Yes. Okay. Okay. We'll see how this works. Probably not. So I've been talking about my November or my October finish, and I've totally forgot to show it. So let me grab it. That just a bit. All right. So this is the Mount Hood bib. You see Mount Hood's right there. That's from the Blue Flower Forest Home, and part of one of her trees in Forest Home is right there. And then I have all these snowboarders that are doing different things, and this family, there's one person flying through the air on a purple snowboard, which they do have, and then there's one person that's like coming up through the snow. And I was actually talking to people at the 1120 Crafter Retreat about snowboarding, because I've never done it, and you know, I've cross-country skied when I was a teenager, like twice maybe. But anyway, one of the things you do is you get down on your butt and then you come up, and so it requires a lot of core strength to snowboard. And so this person's kind of, what were they doing? Oh yeah, so they were kind of like leaning back and, you know, making the snow spray up. And then this person was sort of half laying on the snowboard and, you know, like half leaning, half falling off the snowboard as they were going down a hill. So that's what that person is doing. Then the little smaller person is, you know, making that big wave of snow. This person's coming up off the ground, and I really tried to stitch the snow around the snowboard, and I wasn't planning to stitch so much snow, but doing actual cross stitches instead of back stitching helped anchor the rest of the smaller amounts of thread. And this person, you can't really see, but they have silver goggles and a silver helmet. And so anyway, so this is the Mount Hood bib for a family who snowboards with two very small boys, but the dad really wants to teach them how to snowboard. So anyway, yeah, that's the November finish. And oh, I'm probably looking at the wrong part of my camera. I should be looking there. So anyway, and I've got it down on the keyboard, so it's not even. So I've been trying to record so my head blocks the reflection of the chandelier above my head. So anyway, please comment if you think this trying to block my head with block the light reflection with my head is working or not working. I mean, this is a really low-tech operation here. I don't have a fancy camera light set up. I've got my cell phone, which actually works better than my computer. When I take video on my computer, it looks like the sound is worse, and it looks like I'm really like in a dark pit. So anyway, so finish for October. The Japanese bantam will be my finish in November. All right, now I'm going to talk about the 1120 Crafters Fall Retreat. So the 1120 Crafters is a group, like a cross-stitch club out of Cynthia's Bend. And it got started because Katie, who runs Cynthia's Bend, and Linda Van Osdell, who is a cross-stitcher, amazing finisher, and all-around crafter, does a ton of stuff, and cross-stitch designer, if I didn't mention that. So they both have their birthdays on 11/20, which is my sister's birthday, actually. And so that's how the 1120 Crafter name got formed. And this is the third time I've been to an event at the shop. The second time I've been to the 1120 Crafter retreats. They have one in the fall and one in the spring. The one in the spring is the first Saturday in May. Last year, I went from the Cannon Beach retreat with Acorns and Threads, which is the last weekend in April, straight to 1120 Crafters retreat in Bend, which is a one-day retreat. And I guess they've had it from 9 to 5. I thought it was more like 10 to 4. Well, that was the class we had, was more like, it was 11 to 4. But so anyway, I was a little bit late to the retreat, which I felt bad about later, because I just kind of missed that in the when I signed up on the retreat and the time. And so you got a goodie bag of things, and you got lunch, and then people brought candy and cake and snacks kind of thing, and popcorn and nuts, and so there was stuff to munch on throughout the day. And so crackle this a bit. Okay, all right. So the goodie bag wasn't very big, but a lot of cool things inside of it. So, oh, and I put my Acorns and Threads. I actually wear this sometimes, and I wore. Some people had theirs that they were wearing, so we could see each other's names, and so. But some people are getting to know me because they stitch on the Acorn Zoom with me on Tuesdays, and so so we had a Prairie Schooler free pattern. We had a this is a free pattern that banded, and I like this one. I like autumn and Halloween stuff, as you know. And then this was a little, gosh. So Sabine made us this little, and she gave us, so Sabine is one of the longtime 1120 crafters, and she gave us a little 2025 charm, and then she gave us this little kind of needle bed, thread bed kind of, with a little pocket right there, and it's really, really cute. So she is amazingly prolific. She has done every project and pattern that the 1120 crafters have had at their retreats, and she actually was at the Beth Twist Biscornu finishing class, and that's how I got to know her a little bit better in August, because she had done like 16 or more Biscornu in her cross stitching, but she'd always used the back stitch around as the framing stitch of the pattern, that then you stitch together the back stitches when you make your seams on your Biscornu. And she had never stitched a cross stitch border to a cross stitch border. And so that was why she was at the class, even though she had all this experience doing Biscornu. And so, that's what I knew about her, prolific long-term cross stitcher, crafter. And so they were talking about all the different retreats they've had over the years, and some of the patterns that they've had, and designer. They've, had Beth Twist come last year. They are working on their designer for this year. I believe it's set. I'm not going to say anything more because that's their news. And so, anyway, and then they had this cute little ribbon that they made that tied up the top of the bag. Took it off, so get things out here. And then they had, I wish I had a picture of this. So I'm going to have to sort of put this together. I realized later, I should take a picture of this for my Flosstube. I I'm bad about taking pictures of live things that I go to, and some of it is I feel like if I show a picture, like, is this, you know, gonna give away something, and then people are gonna do it, and then, you know, steal the patterns or whatever they're gonna do. So we got a piece of perforated paper, and we got a gingerbread pattern, which Katie and Van did. I'm not gonna show it because it's just a cross stitch pattern on the back here. But so you stitch 2 little gingerbread men, and they gave us the flosses and a cute little floss drop. And so one of the people that I sat next to, she did the project. And so you stitch your little gingerbread men, and then you glue the pin onto them, and then you stick, I'm kind of watching out where the pins are because they're all sticking out here, and then you stick your you stick felt onto the back, and then you have three little pins, and these are, if I can turn it, oh, I guess it's just, okay, so there's 2 blank ones. So the 2 blank ones are where the gingerbread men go, and then you have a cute peppermint pin. So you have 3 little pins, which 2 of which are the gingerbread, and then the peppermint pin that you stick on to this felt tomato. And we had a piece, we have a piece of material that we basically wrap around our spool and glue it to the spool. So we made this was one of the projects that we could do during the retreat, was make this little spool with gingerbread men on pins. And then, oh, there's an additional little button in here. Not sure where that button, oh, so this is like a little heart button. And so you can make gendered gingerbread, a male and a female. So I think this might go on the female. And so I'm going to try to stick all these little pieces together. And we had the cute little bag. This had our 1120 Crafter raffle ticket in it. I'm going to stick that back in here. I'm going to stick the pattern back in here, and stick the gingerbread men things back in here. I'm not sure where this clothespin went. I think it was like holding things together. Then we also got a primitive Christmas pattern of a tree that's sort of curved and leaning, and has like a, I think that might be a dove at the top. Yeah, so okay, so there's no key to this pattern. It says choose your scraps of fabric and stash of threads to make this freebie personal. And the X's at the end of these little branches of this tree, and it looks rather like the Charlie Brown Christmas tree in a way. And so, yeah, so the end of the each of the branches has little X's, and that's where you could put buttons or trinkets if you have them. So stitch the design using 2 strands of floss over 2 threads. So this is from Thistle's Primitive Christmas. So I like this one. I kind of like primitive stuff. I don't do it very often, but I do have several things, and I love to get the Punchy Little Primitive Stitcher magazine to look at the stuff. Okay, so at 10, when I got there, is when they were scheduled to show people how to assemble the project, and then we stitched until 12:30. We had lunch for an hour, and then we continued to stitch. And I left about 4:30-ish because I knew I was going to have it. It's almost 3 hours in good weather with no traffic to get from Bend to my house. And so I wanted to get home. I knew the last hour of my driving would be in the dark, and we're having atmospheric rivers right now, and I guess on Friday for Halloween we're going to have another atmospheric river, which means last year I had 17 trick-or-treaters. The last place we lived at, we had like 120 trick-or-treaters, I think, especially the last year we were there. And only because I like candy and I don't want to run out, because, I grew up food insecure and poor, so I don't want to be the person who runs out of candy. It's just, don't want to do that to kids. And, because not that I ever ran out of candy, but, there were times where I wished I'd had a little bit more food for dinner. And so, so I have 180 Smarties or 180 or 190, I think 190, in a big bag from Bimart that I got for Pinwis, and I made up bags of Smarties to give as a table gift for all the tables. So, nothing fancy. It was something I could afford to do, to get that big bag of candy. I wouldn't have been able to really afford chocolate because the chocolate prices have been going up. And that was even before the tariffs, but they're still going up. So, so I'm going to have 180 or 190 Smartie, the Smarties, which is the little round candy in the cellophane wrapper. And I'm basically going to tell the kids that they can take 5 to 10. And I've had kids come and I'm like handing them 2 or 3 chocolates, and they're, they're and their mom are like, wow, that's a lot, or the kids have been schooled that you take 1 candy and thank you, and I'm like, take more. And it's because I have candy and my husband doesn't want to eat it, and I don't want to eat it. My blood sugar, my diabetes has been pretty good, so I don't want to have a bunch of Smarties to eat when Halloween is done. But so I'm gonna be like, take a handful of like 5 and putting them in each bag, and the moms and the kids are all gonna be like, is this okay? I'm like, yes, it's okay. Especially if I only have 17. Last year it rained, and so I only had 17 trick-or-treaters, and so it will be okay, because that means that if I have 17, I want them to take 10 when they come to my door. And if I have more than that, I'll see how many, but if it's like, I don't know if you can see it, how gray it is, the rain's, the rain's coming down. So that's not as bad as it was yesterday. We had wind warnings in Western Oregon, and Bend was windy, and Bend, it's funny, and somebody at the retreat said, yeah, Bend has all 4 seasons just in one day. And and it's, and that's been the long-standing thing in Oregon, is like, you don't like a weather, wait 5 minutes. Oh, I haven't even talked about who was at the retreat. Darn it. So get to the retreat, and I'm sitting next to this person I met at Acorns and Threads last weekend who had just moved to Bend, and I said, oh, you got to go to this, you got to go to Cynthia's Bend. They got a retreat next weekend. I'm going to go. And she was there. I sat with her. And then on the other side of me was Krista West, Avalia folk embroidery designer and business owner. And so she moved to Sisters a few months, I'm not sure how many months back, but within the last year. And she is kind of still expanding her business locally. So we were talking about that she's going to have some of her products in a shop in Sisters, and also what products that she could have at Cynthia's of Bend, which is slightly different markets. So slightly different things I think will be in each shop. And then, since, Katie's there, and so she's talking to Katie about, cross-stitch business stuff. So it was a really interesting conversation. And then there's so many people who have done crafting for so many years. They were talking about finishing different things, talking about doing different kinds of crafts, talking about, sewing and quilting and all sorts of stuff. And so just this really vigorous, and it was a very tiny group. So the room holds 30 people. We had 8 cross-stitchers yesterday. And I wish it was a bit more for Katie and Bill, but it was a great, small, intimate group. And, and Krista was asking me some questions about one of the, larger retreats back east that she has an opportunity to go to. And, because I follow Flosstubers who go to it. So I knew a few things. And, so we just had this great day of conversation, and I got a ton of stitching in, which you can see in the whip portion. And, so it was really, really fun, really nice. And I basically said, yeah, I'll see you guys in May after the snow melts. After the snow melts, I'll be back. And so, and they have a cross-stitch club that meets, I think it's the second and fourth Thursdays. It's 1 to 4, through Cynthia's of Bend. Katie is a cross-stitcher, been cross-stitching for decades. And so a lot of good community that's growing in Central Oregon. Lots of, and Krista is involved with the Hoodoo Ski Bowl, which is one of the older ski resort destinations in the Oregon Cascades, just west of the summit. And when I was a kid, that's where people from my town would go to ski, because it would just be up the pass. And so she's doing some work with the ski bowl to probably encourage people to come and plan, maybe planning activities. And so, I'd say check out Hoodoo Ski Bowl's website, because then you might learn some more about it. So it was exciting. It made me think, if I didn't like driving in the snow, which I don't, I'd go up to Hoodoo and I'd see if I could rent cross-country skis, because I always like to do that. But I'm a horrible skier. I would never do downhill. That's too scary for me. So anyway, that's it. Okay. always have to check the timer. This is Robin the Generous Stitcher, and this is the curated cross-stitch portion of the program. And so I had 2 shops in Cynthia's Bend yesterday. The first time I went in to do shopping was before I actually went into the retreat, and unfortunately I got my time mixed up. I thought it started at 10, but it really started at 9, and I got to the shop a little bit after 9, and I think Bill is the Katie's husband, the co-owner of the shop, and he was like, "Oh, well, the event's across the parking lot, across the way." Sorry, I jiggled my light. And I'm like, "Oh yes, this is the 3rd time I've been here. I know where it's at. I just wanted to do my shopping first." So, because it was like, you want my money, right? More of it than I've already paid you. So, and so they have a full line of Weeks Dye Works, and so I'm not going to show. I'm not going to show all the flosses like I did last time. This is some of the flosses that are falling out of my hands. And so I just had a whole list of weeks from things that I was trying to kit up. Nothing I'm going to start soon exactly. Maybe a kitty calendar thing. But I did want to kit up a heartstring samplery Out There, which is a set of science fiction related ornaments, and I have a relative who is also a trekker, and I did say something about, I was kidding this up because because this family member is a trekker, and someone says, "Don't you mean Trekkie?" And I'm like, "No, that Trekkies are what outsiders call us. We're trekkers." that's the correct term. So, of course, Lapin Loops Earl Earl Grey Hot, one of Captain Picard's taglines, and so I had to get there was one additional Weeks Dye Works for the Out There ornament collection called Apple Pucker, and I didn't get that because it's not required for the ornament that has the Enterprise, which is right there. So these were the 4 flosses that I needed to get. I got some extra mascara because Acorns was out last time I was there. Got Curry and Deep Sea. So this is all ready. This is now all ready to be kitted up, except that I still need to get Classic Colorworks. I did find that I have one of the Classic Colorworks I needed, because it's with another thing that I'm gonna show in the whips that I'll point out then. I guess I've already pointed it out because this will be the last segment of the video. Sorry for the confusion. It's kind of hard because I'm filming this first. And so I'm gonna look differently when I film the rest of this tomorrow, because I will have changed my clothes. So, oh, and then if you're at Cynthia's Bend in the next few days, you won't find Fire, because I took the last skein off the display. And so Cynthia's Bend also has patterns. They tend to be more sampler, traditional Blackbird designs, heart and hand. I picked up the Thankful Tiny Town, which I'm not planning to do all the tiny towns, but this one has like little turkeys that are like, there's a turkey there. Where's the other turkey? There's the one there, and there's one down here. And I thought, wow, I could probably stick a turkey over here somewhere. So anyway, I thought it was funny. I liked it. So and I did not look at any of the threads to do this. I will probably, I don't know. I presume it has a DMC conversion, which I will probably do it in DMC. So, all right. And then I went back later. I'd been sitting and stitching with the group and having a great time talking to people and learning stuff. And I had mentioned when I did my morning shop that I knew I was forgetting something that they had in their store that I needed to pick up. And so in the afternoon, I remembered what that was. I was feeling a little stiff from sitting in the chair for that much time. And so I thought, it's not pouring down rain at this second, so I will run across the parking lot, have a good stiff walk, and pick up the thing that I remembered, which I did. And hey, Willow, flosses. This is gonna be, stick this, okay. Let's get all these flosses out of the kitty's purview. Yeah, I know you want them, but you're not gonna get them. Sorry. This is why I put them in a bag. So there's my good girl. Okay. Let's put this down on top of the big bag so you don't see the flosses. Good girl. Such a sweetie. She missed me. Max missed me when I was out for going to the 1120 Crafters Retreat overnight. And so, all right, you're gonna chill for a minute. Good girl. So anyway, so I went back in the shop, and they are a sewing machine shop. They have a lot of sewing and quilting, and they do long arm as well. So that's how the business got started. The cross stitches, more of an expansion. And I know I've mentioned this because this is what was told to me by Katie, is they would never expect or pretend to replace acorns, but they are filling a need because there's a lot of people who live in Deschutes County in Central Oregon, and so there's cross stitchers, and a couple of the cross stitchers that I stitched with at the retreat were like new transplants to Bend. That one of them, I think, had been living in the Portland area, and then but they have kids or grandkids that live in the Bend area, and so they're retired. So it's like, hey, let's move to Bend to be close to family. And one of them told this cute story that they had she and her husband had some health issues, and they had retired to Texas, and so their kids who live in the Seattle area and in Bend were going down to Texas to help them. And so the idea was, well, okay, let's move closer, somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, so that they can take care of us more easily if we have problems in the future. They're retired, but they're not that old yet, but some things cropped up, so they made this decision that would be easier on their family. And so then they moved to Bend, and they're babysitting their kid's puppy. And the puppy loves the cross stitcher. And everybody was saying, "Are you going to keep the puppy when you're done babysitting?" And she's like, "No," which would be my answer. Dogs like me or love me, but I'm a cat person. I want to live with cats. I don't want to live with a dog, even though they do love me. They like me a lot. So I think, hey, yeah, she's gonna come back over. Animals, I think, smell that you're a good person with regards to animals, and that you are gonna, love them and take care of them, and be kind to them. I think they just smell it on you, that, oh, this is the good person. Whether or not you like dogs, which I'm not a big, I watch Dog Rescue with Willow, but I'm not a big dog person, but, so anyway, second run through the shop, I remembered the thing that I wanted to get, which was some see-through rulers, which these are not quite as see-through as I wanted, but they're the sizes I wanted. This is a 6.5 by 6.5 for small projects. This is a slightly bigger one. I thought about getting the 12.5 by 12.5. This is a 10 by 10. Maybe I should have done that, but you know, the prices for these was, you know, kept going up, up and up. And then I wanted to get a nice big ruler for measuring. This is a 3 by 18. So measuring, you know, a lot of the cross stitch fabric pieces I have are 18-inch by something. So I thought this would be a good, useful size. And not that I plan on doing all my finishing, but I do want to do some. And you know, and it's now, if I have the right tools, like I have fabric scissors now, and I have rulers now, and I have a smaller cutting mat. And as I was walking out of the shop, I was like, oh, they have these giant cutting mats. And I was like, oh, I need one of those too. But another time. So, and then of course, I noticed they had some punch needle patterns. This is a pumpkin man, pumpkin scarecrow in the squash pumpkin patch, and it's a little pouch, you know, similar to the thing that Teresa Kogut is doing, that I have a PDF for Jingle Ball 2025, and I think I might change the jacket. It's sort of a silver and bronze kind of color. I might change it to make it, you know, this is on a dark background, and actually I think the background is punch needle as well, that it's been punched on. Let me see if I see. So this is done with an ultra punch. See, Cynthia's events sells the Smart Punch and the Ultra Punch, and they were out of stock of the Ultra Punch. Or being out of stock is sometimes it's sitting at Katie's house waiting to come into the shop, but which is the case. But you know, I'd like to get a punch needle, and she was telling me which ones she uses, and Linda Van Osdell, or Van to her friends, she was telling me what she uses. So it's like, hey, I have active punch needle friends. You know, I have a friend that wants to do punch needle, that tried it and got frustrated. Well, you know, maybe I can organize a punch needle day with my Central Oregon friends, and maybe a few of us from Salem Mary Stitchers could go punch needle. That's something to think about. Not something for the oncoming winter, because I did drive through the first snow on the Cascade Summit. Not fun, but not as bad as some times that I've driven through snow in Oregon Mountain Passes. But there's 1 inch on the summit. I can tell you, because I was looking how much was on the ground and the rocks as I was driving past it. So anyway, punch needle. And then I saw this really cute needle minder. That's kind of blurry. I don't know how well you can see that. Anyway, this is a Nordic style needle minder, and I got it because I'm going to be doing a bunch of Christmas starts on the Advent. I have Halloween needle minders. I don't know. Maybe I don't think I have any Christmas ones. I'm trying to remember if I have one. No, I think that's a Halloween one that I'm thinking of. So anyway, that's what I bought. And now I'm going, the other important things I bought. Okay, in the first pass through, I had saw on their website that they had the Zweigart base of Weeks Dye Works. This is Delft Blue, and it's 36 count linen. So it kind of looks like denim jeans before you really wash them. You know, kind of a darker blue. It looks a little bit darker on the camera than it does in real life. So anyway, I had seen pictures of it, and so I knew it was a darker blue. And so that was something I knew they had, and I don't have any, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy a piece of fabric. Well, then they had Zweigart Lugana. This is Murano, which is 32 count, and this is Pumpkin, which is, it's as orange as it is on the camera. It's not any change. So those were the two things. These are, one's 18 by 27, the other is 17 by 20, the weeks is 17 by 26. And so that was my shopping